Reminders of Him, 2026. This is a US romance film. It stars Micah Monroe as Kenna Rowan and Tuna Withers. Tuna Withers as Ledger Ward, and Rudy Parko as Scotty Landry, Lauren Graham as Grace Landry, and Bradley Whitford as Patrick Landry. And Grace and Patrick are the grandparents, or the parents of Scotty. Scotty has died in a car crash, and Kenna is held responsible. She pleads guilty. She was at the wheel when the car overturned, and although she went for help, she was accused of abandoning Scotty, and so there's a lot of resentment. And after 6 years in prison, she is released on parole, 6 or 7 years. She's takes a taxi and en route stops to remove the memorial, the cross that has been left on the spot where Scotty lost his life. She's returned to her hometown, but she mentions at that point that Scotty didn't like memorials. You see them all over the place, often flowers. But I've seen them in the US when I used to go to the US, and they're often crosses, and they often have messages, especially by charities that are against drink driving. These are warnings. I mean, how much people notice them, I don't know, but I suppose they're trying to do something to remind drivers to be careful. I suppose it's like in most towns and villages in the UK, there are signs that say, "Welcome to name of town or village, please drive carefully." However, so this is where Kenna is now needing to find work, and she's going to have a struggle because people won't employ someone who's been in prison or who's a criminal, especially felon. Actually, I don't know if it counts as a felon, the crime. I mean, the way it's shown, it seems like it wasn't necessarily her fault. I mean, it's a bit slightly ambiguous, I thought, but I'd have to watch it again to double check. But she's accepted responsibility. She's done her time. She's out now, but finding a job is very difficult until she meets Ledger at a bar, and he does employ her. In fact, he seems to like her until he finds out when she turns up at her parents-in-law's home, wanting to see her daughter, and he's there, and he puts two and two together and realizes that it was her, Kenna, who was responsible for the death of her partner, for the death of her partner, who was his best friend, and so he's very angry. They still get to meet. There's a scene where he finds the memorial under the kitchen sink, and he gets angry about that, but he actually is he's a more amenable, he sort of has a bit fallen in love with Kenna, but there's a huge problem because she is hated by Scotty's parents, who are bringing up DM. DM, I thought the name DM was just the initials D and M, but I think it's DM as in Carpe Diem. I've looked it up now. DM seems to be the name of the daughter, the little girl. And Kenna is heartbroken because she's been denied access and they've got custody, the Scotty's parents, and they're raising her. And that's the kind of case that I find I find it mind-boggling that she would struggle for custody, though it reminds me, I mean, I don't know if it would be as bad in the UK, but certainly in the US, where lots of policies and laws have been used increasingly against women and against most marginalised groups, many marginalised groups. This feels like this is one of those stories that, well, it kind of opened my eyes. I was talking about it with my friend afterwards, and she wanted to see. She was more, I think, more keen on seeing this film than me. I was happy to see it. I kind of interested in most kind of films, apart from a lot of gory horror films. I'm not keen on those. But yeah, I'm reminded of Suffragette, Suffragette 2015, in which Kerry Mulligan's character is deprived of being able to look custody of her daughter or even access to her daughter, and it feels so unfair, and that often happens now. These days, in the UK at least, there's in a way more the other side where men are fighting for custody, but once a century ago it was like that in the UK, and maybe it's still like that. It seems to still be like that in the US, in states like, now which state was this? They talk about Spokane, which is the eastern part of Washington, but I think they also mention Idaho. I think it might be somewhere in that part of the Midwest, the sort of the edge of the Rockies, the Cascade Mountains, that area. So anyway, I thought, I mean, it's a bit of a boy next door sort of story, boy across the road in this case, with Ledger and his slightly fiery relationship with Kenna. Well, it's obviously also the tension that if he is becoming friends with her, that disrupts the trust that Scotty's parents have in him, because he's like a lovable uncle to DM. So that effectively is the story. I think it was fairly well played. It's apart from the point I've made, I can't think of much else. That I mean, it's by the same, at least from the trailer I gather, that it's like the same people as the same filmmakers. I'm not sure about the writer or the directors. It ends with us, and there's those sort of feelings in this, but without some of the huge drama in that film, and of course that the drama in that film extended beyond the actual film into the real life of the characters. But this is more, I don't know, Um, it's okay, but I think it's very much it's more my score would be 7 out of 10 because it's okay, but nothing I'm likely to feel very strongly about, apart mainly because, I mean, I think I learned something, but US films tend to feel fairly depressing, US dramas now, for reasons to do with just knowing so many people in the US who are struggling because of the way policies are at present, and hoping things will change and not get worse here as well, as well as across Europe. Okay, thanks for watching. 7 out of 10. Please let me know your thoughts. Thanks if you subscribe. Please like if you like this review. If I make a review of Suffragette, I will put a link, but I haven't, so I won't. I will put a link in the comments to It Ends With Us, because that's um, a related film in some ways. Okay, please hit the notification button. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.